Hello, everyone that's here. Real time on this shift of time. We made it. The new time, daylight savings time, 11 o'clock, a little after 11 on the East Coast, and all of you who are watching later. So, as I just mentioned before, hit recording. Oh, did I hit recording? Yes, I did. We'll be doing movement on the ground today, a little bigger than last week's breathing. And I love that Virginia shared with me later. It felt a little too, maybe I don't have the right words, too cubist, mechanical, just those not natural to have the divisions that I suggested. So that's great feedback and interesting how we take in something, an image. And of course, we're not made of these squares and rectangles inside here. So interesting how we can meet that. And of course, always adapt to what works for you. So my heart is often heavy. Maybe all humans could have said this in all eras with the many things going on in the world. And all of us have our ways of coping with bad news, difficult things. And I'm going to rely on poetry again to help us out. There's several poems I'm thinking, but I'll just share one. And I think that we're connected. We are just connected to everything else on the planet. And some of us more emotionally or more mentally connected. And we're certainly connected. What I find so fascinating these days is as international global things happen, things that happen far away. We keep hearing the news, the Strait of, how do you say it? Vermouth, the Strait of, it's not Vermouth, something like that. And the way the ships can come in there, cannot come in there. The insurance that insures the cargo coming through, all of that may influence how much I pay for vermouth. I don't know. So in any case, so get yourself settled if you like on the ground, if you'd like seated. I'm pretty sure we'll be doing the meditation portion first. And let's welcome us in with a bell as well. Notice how your body may have responded to the tones of the bell. Perhaps you took a deeper breath. And now we arrive. Sensing how the ground carries us, the ground underneath us. I just recently heard someone use that word, carries us, for the ground under us. It made so much sense to me. Perhaps it does to you, perhaps not. So just lean into your own perception, your own experience right here, arriving. Breathing. Sensing. listening, and feeling how as you're undertaking these very subtle yet not subtle activities, how your body is alive to what's inside and what's outside, to what's moving and changing. And then settle back a little bit to the one that's experiencing all of this prior. It's as if it's the one that's holding all this, and yet it has no edges, it has no bounds. That one that is watching it all, experiencing it all, doesn't change through time, nor through any of the shifts in emotion, sensation, doesn't change with rap music or rock music or jazz or classical. And so listen to this poem and listen with all of yourself and listen perhaps from that background or all pervasive place of one. I don't have a title to this poem, and I don't even know the author. A friend sent it a couple years ago. What if your joy saved the world? Would you try it? What if it was playfulness and curiosity that shifted the paradigm? What if it was beauty or pleasure or the conversations you have that aren't stifled by shame? The subtle choices in your day, the simplicity of the breath, the complexity of contrast, prayer in action, unbound creation, the oneness of it all. So we'll stay in stillness for about 6 more minutes. You might be there already, and if you need to shift position to welcome just here. To be still without holding ourselves still. Into the invitation of just sensing this oneness and certainly folding in all that arrives, the more difficult of some of the things that I mentioned at the beginning of our practice in the world, in our lives, the difficult, challenging, anger making, the sad, and also the possibility of joy and curiosity and prayer and action. And from time to time, you might just check in with how your body feels. Sometimes the mind can very subtly take us a little away from our whole experience. So fold in the softenings, the support, the flow of in and out breathing, sounds around. And of course, sometimes as you need a bit of a tether, a little more than the support of this community of what we've laid so far, you might need to come back to counting a few breaths, placing your hands on your legs and just feeling the groundedness of right here, right now. And in the next handful of breaths, if you'd like to join for movement, I recommend this on the ground on your back. So just take your time making that transition. This could be done seated in a chair, possibly. This is one of my favorite movements, but I actually don't usually have backup different orientations. Pretty tough from standing, but from a chair it could be done. But once you're on your back, just arrive again. Take the few moments, breaths, in no hurry, just luxuriously sensing yourself right here, right now, anew. What if it was playfulness and curiosity that shifted the paradigm? A few days ago, I had an experience of tuning in and meeting the stiffness and discomfort, and I call it pain, but that's very general. It's sort of a stiffness and achiness in some parts of my body. And in meeting it, and in this practice of sitting with that in a very meditative way, this practice I call focusing on that I've been taught. And what came to me was part of it was bracing against what I perceived as great sorrow, and possibly some of my anger toward that, some of the situations that contribute to that sorrow. And in unpacking that and meeting that and feeling the connected thoughts and emotions to my physical sensations, I was able to soften and let the sorrow be there in my body. And I was very much able to hold it, at least I felt I was. And some of the discomfort fell away. And so I mentioned this experience it illustrates what part of what we're doing here is letting ourselves be still to welcome, to welcome the difficult, but also not just from a small self, but from that boundless self that all of us share. So often our capacities to meet these various flavors of life then come online. With that settling into our boundless self and allowing for each piece that arrives, each player to have their say, to say their part, and for our own response to become evident and available, and then prayer in action. All right, so on your backs, or if you're in a chair and might be knees bent, legs not crossed. If you're on your back, let one leg be long and let the other leg be bent and the foot standing. And so you can do the same in the chair. One leg can be more extended. And then it's going to be just the slightest effort of pressing into the foot with the bent knee. So pressing into the ground just a little bit and then releasing that. And do this in a way that you're really maybe exploring the way the foot, the contours of the foot, the heel, the arch, the balls of the feet in the front, the toes, the inner and outer edges, the back of the heel that rounds up toward the Achilles tendon. The way they're playing here in the push and the full release. So very small action. You can really feel perhaps in the way our foot or ankle and the feel of the ground, the particular maybe carpet or floor, wood or tile underneath your foot. Perhaps the breath is joining in. And then just let it be. You can stay in place. You could stretch both legs long. You could bend both knees the same. And just pause. The pauses play such a rich role of integrating and forming. Imagine if we had no periods or commas as we spoke. Sometimes I feel I do speak that way. But the metaphor is maybe limited, but in a sense, the pauses so can enrich the web of experience. Perhaps the jaw relaxes. Perhaps you feel the whole body somehow different than before this little exercise, pushing and releasing. And this is, I'll say this in a moment. So again, same side, bend the same knee, the other leg more straight if you're sitting in a chair or extended long if you're on the ground. And before you even start, you know what it is. If you already started, that's okay. But before you start or come back to stillness, and just feel how your whole being is readying for what you know is ahead. And yet perhaps leave some space for curiosity, playfulness, and the mystery of maybe this will be different this time around. And as you either just start it in your imagination, so not actually doing it, or go ahead and do it, just very small action, pressing the foot and releasing. And noticing this time, perhaps you did last time, but add in a little more, feeling the wholeness of yourself. So feel how that action of this little action that I'm giving the instructions through what the foot is doing, but actually the whole skeleton is involved. The whole cardiovascular system's involved, the whole nervous system, the whole musculature and all the tendons and bursa and all the softer tissue. All the biochemical parts of us. The organs in your middle are involved, the rib cage and lungs, the breath. You might imagine this time that the start for this is coming from the low belly, the golden ball. Does that change? Does the experience change with all this opening up, inviting more of yourself to come online? And the other side of the body as well, the leg that's not, quote unquote, doing anything. And then let it go. Maybe just stay where you are or change the leg positionings for the pause. Sense that part of yourself that's all of yourself, the oneness, the allness. Structurally, there's I'm forgetting the anatomical name for it. It's a connective tissue that runs all down the front of the spine from the very top of the spine in the throat, just below the brain, the front of the throat, down the front of the heart, front of the belly. Well, it's way back behind the organs on the spine, and then in that area of the low back and sacrum, where all the organs of the belly sit, to the front of the tailbone. Its anatomical name is it's a ligament. It's a ligament. It's called the anterior longitudinal ligament. I wonder if the namers of that realized it spells all. It's very closely aligned with what you might have heard this term, the vagus nerve, that travels down through the very deep sensitive parts of our body and is involved in the turning on of the rest and digest part of our system. So a little story about the insides of us as we experience this little movement. And now one more repetition, but this time with the other side. So the other leg is bent more. If you're again sitting, the one leg that's extended still might have a bend, but not quite as much. And then your choice, you can just imagine that you're doing the movement. You can play with doing it faster if you're actually doing it. You can play with doing it a little more forcefully and then a little more gently. You can pause between movements, between maybe several repetitions, just pause where you are. Take another minute and a half or 2 minutes to play with this. Small movement, but watch for the reverberations throughout your experience, throughout the breath. And this movement, while I think it has a function much like what I described earlier of my discovery of integrating what we're thinking, what we're feeling, what things are having an effect on us, all the parts of us, emotional, physical, cognitive, logical, spiritual. And also, this has a lovely benefit of creating ease in the lower back area and the digestive area and the organs there in the lower body, elimination, reproduction, involved in things that influence our comfort, our joy, our communication, our hormonal system, which is a communication system within the body and with each other. All right, maybe a couple more breaths. If you're not in stillness yet, let go into stillness in the next several breaths. In a comfortable position. And as we wind down this practice, perhaps you'll just stay right where you are for the bell and the bow, or you may segue up to seated as we come to the end of this practice together. You might bring your hands together at your heart in real or palm to palm or in your imagination. Take a bow, noting what the bow means for you. And I thank you. I'll be back next week here, the usual new daylight savings time. And reminder that on the 22nd, I'll be away, but I'll be streaming this class, but at 8 a.m. And if you sign up through Sun and Moon Yoga Studio, you'll see that time will be listed first instead of lower down on that day's schedule. And I wanted to tell you, those of you who are local, to me, it's just a 4-hour drive away. I thought maybe I'd share where I'm going. Perhaps seeing June's experience. I'll share in an email to you, and also in the YouTube version, I'll put it in the notes, a link to this workshop. It's in Durham. It's just outside Durham in a lovely, kind of like looks like a theater, like a school theater room. It's a wood floor with a stage. We don't use the stage, but it's got beautiful big windows out to a setting in the woods just outside Durham, North Carolina. And the teachers that I reference so often, Russell and Linda Delman, they'll be leading a Saturday and Sunday from 10 to 4:30 sessions. So I'm just throwing that out there in case sometimes people show up. Last year, I met a couple of people who signed up like the night before. They were in town for an artist's retreat or something else, and they just joined us. So, but I'll be bringing back whatever I glean from them as well. So thank you. And I'd love to hear, June was saying that the different experience of the 2 feet was very different. Let me end the recordings and then we can chat for a few moments. Okay, see you guys next time.
Recording stopped.
The other recording.